Welcome to Versusverse. Today, we're comparing the Palisades Fire that is currently raging and also the campfire of 2018. Let's look at the first 2 days of the campfire, and then we'll look at the first 2 days of the Palisades Fire and see how it lines up, at least within the first 2 days. So the first 2 days of the campfire.
I didn't know at the time that the fire had jumped all the way into Paradise,
Which was from November 8th to November 9th of 2018. Within the first 2 days, it burned 20,000 acres. 9,000 structures were burned. This was due mainly to the town, that it destroyed, which was Paradise. It burned through that town like it was insane. Some of the footage that came out of that was just terrifying. It also devastated within that first day the town of Concow, which I didn't even know about until I started doing research for this video. But because of that, it destroyed 9,000 structures in those first 2 days. There were 48 confirmed deaths by the second day. There were 50,000 residents ordered to evacuate. Within the first 2 days, it was at 5% containment, which is impressive. I think it's because I assume the devastation was so dramatic, resources came in from all over the place. And at least they were able to, get some containment within the first 2 days. It's pretty impressive. The primary cause of that fire, the campfire in 2018, was PG&E. PG&E is Pacific Gas and Electric. They take care of a huge expanse of California, Northern California's power and electric. So the winds were a big cause of this fire. The campfire in 2018, sustained winds of 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Crazy. There were 2,500 firefighters, 23 helicopters, and 9 air tankers. Again, I think a big reason for that was the media coverage was huge because, again, it devastated this entire town. And the footage coming out of that area was severe and dramatic. People were trapped because that little town, there was only a little tiny 2-lane highway in and out of it. So there was no way to get out. The fire came out of nowhere for most of the residents. So resources came in quick and heavy. The community impact was severe. Paradise was completely destroyed. And Concow was devastated by this fire within the first 2 days. So let's look at the new fire for 2025. It's crazy, by the way, that it's January. I remember when the campfire happened in 2018, everyone was talking about how the fires kept getting later and later in the season. Used to be when I was a kid, you'd have fires in July and August, the hottest, driest parts of the year. But November was kind of unheard of. Usually fire season was over. In 2018, we're like, this is just getting crazy. This fire it's January 8th, and it's pretty crazy. So let's look at the Palisades Fire, and then we'll look at them side by side and really compare. So the Palisades Fire has been burning for 2 days. Same. That's why, we're comparing the first 2 days of the fire because that's how long it's been burning. All right. So acres burned, 11,800 acres. The campfire was at 20,000 acres within first 2 days. Structures destroyed so far within the first 2 days. Palisades Fire has burned 1,000 structures. Campfire at this point burned 9,000 structures. Fatalities right now, there's been 2 confirmed deaths from the Palisade Fire. Campfire, 48 confirmed deaths. Obviously, that number could go up with the Palisades Fire. Unfortunately, we're just 2 days into it. So evacuation orders for the Palisades Fire so far have been 37,000 residents, 50,000 residents for the campfire. So far, the Palisades Fire is 0% contained within the first 2 days. The campfire was 5% contained. Primary cause of the Palisades Fire, they don't know yet, but they're thinking it's human caused. The winds are very similar. The Santa Ana winds, which blow heavy this time of year, have gusts up to 50 miles per hour for the Palisades Fire. Same with the campfire, gust up to 50 miles an hour. Firefighting resources for the Palisades Fire so far, there are 1,000 firefighters, 12 helicopters, 4 air tankers. Compare that with the campfire, 2,500 firefighters, 23 helicopters, and 9 tankers. I think there's some political reasons behind that myself. You can debate that in the comments if you would. Finally, community impact, we don't really know, but so far there's been major evacuations in Los Angeles County suburbs. Community impact immediately within 2 days is that Paradise was just gone, completely gone, burned to the ground, and Concow was devastated. So far, pretty dramatic differences. Palisades Fire is, here's what's interesting to me about the Palisades Fire. Campfire got a ton of attention, media attention, because it was so devastating so quickly. But the Palisades Fire, I feel like, is everywhere. It's getting a ton of media attention. But I think part of the reason is some of the political reasons behind it, which is interesting. And also, I think the area, because there's a lot of rich people, well-known people who are being affected by this fire. And so I think that drives it, which is pretty stupid. But let's dive in a little bit into some of the political sides of both these fires. Kind of interesting. I'm not going to go too in depth. You can in the comments. But some of the information coming out of the Palisades fire is that they are really depleted on resources. The firefighters have encountered severe water shortages, with hydrants running dry due to unprecedented demand, but also maybe because California government is absolutely idiotic. Could be partly due to that. I don't know. What this has led to is a bunch of people saying like, hey, California is not prepared. Shocking. The fires have gotten out of control in California. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but I believe our elected, I'm not a Californian anymore, the elected officials in California. But it has drawn a lot of attention to the readiness of California and its approach to at least fires. Same thing happened with the Camp Fire. It brought a lot of attention to some issues, mainly Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E, and the failures that they were found to have brought upon themselves that caused the fire, which led to extensive financial repercussions for the company. But what that brought about are some discussions on what used to happen to prepare the land for fire season, which again was controlled burns. And so a lot of that's been brought back. And another thing that PG&E did is took out a lot of trees and started to clear the forest. That used to happen as well. There were controlled burns, and that would help eliminate a lot of the ground cover that would get dry in the summer. If you go up to the Sierra Nevadas, there's all kinds of vegetation on the ground that gets very, very dry, including a ton of just fallen limbs and trees that have fallen over that are just, you could basically light a match to. And so controlled burns would eliminate a lot of that ground cover. And the other thing that used to happen is that they would clear the forests. The state of California would go out and just clear the forest. They would allow more logging in the forest to cut down certain trees so that there was larger spaces between trees just to keep the forest clean. And the other thing they would allow is there was a lot more cutting of firewood back then. That's what my family and I did growing up. We cut and sold firewood. And you would go up and you can cut a tree up to 10 inches. And it had to be dead. And the goal was to clear out the forest and get rid of all this dry timber. Anyways, there's good and bad with these wildfires, I suppose, that get out of control and burn towns to the ground, is that it just brings a lot of attention to people looking at what's being done to prevent these fires in the future. And hopefully that'll go to eliminating some of these devastating fires that happen in California every year. But time will tell. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Please, for the love of God, subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. Man, you don't know how much that helps a little creator like me. It's huge. The amount of power that you possess over me is insane. And literally all you have to do is click 2 buttons. It doesn't affect you at all, but it helps me tremendously. Once you help me, once you help somebody in need. All right, thanks for watching.